Sunday night's game reads a little bit like a novel with a main plot and a subplot, certainly more than one subplot. The main plot, of course, is two division leaders going at it. The NFC North leading Packers visiting the AFC North leading Steelers. The subplot, one of them anyway, is Aaron Rodgers going against his old team. There are lots of subplots. Thanks very much for being with us for the matchup presented by Shell Polymers alongside Missi Matthews and Matt Williamson. I'm Rob King. I suppose one of those other subplots is the uniforms, right? The last time we saw the Steelers wearing uniforms that they're kind of replicating here on Sunday night, they were playing the Packers in 1933, led by Buckets Goldenberg, the Packers defeating the Steelers. But these are kind of fun, these throwback uniforms.
I love the helmets. I love that the team's been wearing them out at practice, giving everyone a little sneak preview before you get to the game. But it's always something exciting, and I personally like it a lot better than the Bumblebee throwback.
Yeah, this is, I think you would not be alone in that assessment. Matt, look, the people were not expecting the Buckets Goldenberg revenge game,
Right.
but the Aaron Rodgers going against a team, let's face it, when he gets into Canton, it's going to be the talk of 10-time Super Bowl champion winning, 10-time Pro Bowl quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, and
Sure.
now Aaron Rodgers facing that team on Sunday night.
Yeah, and there's really something to be said for it, too. I mean, these are two historic franchises, two very successful organizations, beloved, great fan bases. And he's a tremendous football player that's had a tremendous career, 90% of it with this organization. How could it not mean a lot?
Yeah, so again, those are some of the subplots. Let's get to the main plots and the main matchups. Missi, let's begin with the Steelers have the ball. And yours is simple. Help Aaron Rodgers, help this offense continue to run the ball well, which is something they've done the last three games.
Yeah, a career day for Jaylen Warren in Cincinnati in that loss. And when you look at just the offense, not the entire game, you can see the good things that were done minus the 2 turnovers. But the one thing that has been consistent as this offense has started to gel, and as Aaron was saying this week, almost like finding their identity, is the run game, whether it was Kenneth Gainwell when Jaylen Warren couldn't play in Dublin. Jaylen Warren, when he came back, it's something that is clicking, and it's clicking for the offensive line as well. Not only are they keeping Aaron Rodgers upright, but also to get the run game going. It's just something that can help everybody in terms of moving the ball, not just, with the run game, but down the field as well. So I think for the offensive linemen, this is definitely something that they are taking to heart, and you want to see continue going.
Now, it won't be easy, Matt. Last time the Steelers faced the number one rush defense was Cleveland. They had a very effective game, better than the last numbers would indicate, because there's some kneel downs and other things that happened at the end of that game. But this is the new number one rush defense the Steelers are facing in Green Bay.
Yeah, but to Missi's point, I mean, I think it's starting to very much become the Steelers' identity. Warren, in particular, I think, is playing at a really high level. The rushing game, if you start just with the Dublin Viking game till now, is absolutely at the top of the league. So it's really a heavyweight fight between what's one of the best running games in the league against one of the best run defenses. And it could determine the final verdict here of who wins.
Okay, so we want to see the Steelers run the football, but let's get to Matt's matchup. And at some point, you're going to have to throw the ball.
Yeah.
And I think that's when, in particular, not to take anything away from Gary and Parsons as to what they can do in the run game, but in the pass game, that's why these guys are making money. Can the Steelers' young tackles handle those guys in the pass rush?
And you mentioned the Cleveland matchup. We went down this road with Myles Garrett recently, and they did a very good job of neutralizing one of the most disruptive and best defensive players in the league. Well, they're getting another one now in Parsons, who's extremely active, a different style of player than Garrett, really laterally explosive, never takes a play off. And Gary, on the other side, has had a really good career. He was like the top recruit in the country coming out of high school, super talented, and now it's harder to key on him. So they're a really disruptive duo. And Parsons had 3 sacks last week, might be really hitting his stride, finally healthy, comfortable in his new surroundings.
Which is crazy that that's a career high for him. When you think of Micah Parsons, you probably think, 3-sack game is pretty normal, but that is the first time he's done that in his career. He did say, however, though, he was a little surprised at the Cardinals' game plan. He had a lot of one-on-one matchups, which, you give him a Myles Garrett and TJ Watt, a one-on-one matchup, not giving help, they're usually going to win those.
Yeah. Right, and the Steelers, of course, using a lot of 12 personnel with 2 tight ends.
Sure.
A lot of jumbo packages, in part to run the football back, but also in part to combat these great pass rushers.
No question. I mean, if you have Anderson, Washington, I mean, those guys are a lot of beef, and they're exceptional in protection, too, as tight ends go. Yeah, I would think that'd be part of it. And I think you have to mention Warren in protection, too. He's really does a good job.
Yeah, Schlesinger found that out for Cleveland on a blitz, but he was
He
stopped
loves
very
it, yeah.
quickly in his tracks.
He takes it personally.
By Jalen Warren. So let's get to Mikey. Mikey has featured the tight ends, and so now we've run the ball, right? We've protected Aaron Rodgers, given him a nice pocket. Now let's feature those tight ends. We know DK Metcalf's going to be involved. We could talk about when he lines up on the right side against Keyshawn Nixon. That's a really mouth-watering matchup. But the Steelers utilize their tight ends more than anybody in the league. 37% of their completions go to tight ends. No team has a higher completion percentage. And guys, they just have Missy, they have a great variety of tight ends. We saw Pat Freiermuth. He was the big star in the last game on Thursday. Had a couple of touchdowns, over 100 yards receiving. We've seen it be Darnell Washington. This guy right here, Jonnu Smith, has been their leading receiver. So I think that these matchups can present a difficult challenge to Green Bay's defense.
And the good thing to go with this key, Rob, is Sunday is National Tight End Day, which is a holiday made up by the tight ends in the National Football League. But they are celebrating it this Sunday. So hopefully, that highlights what they want to do. But I think, as you said, Pat Freiermuth was kind of waiting for his time. It always happens in Cincinnati, it feels like, but it did again. And those were two huge touchdowns that really helped. And Aaron Rodgers even, gave him credit this week for not moping or being, outwardly upset about the lack of plays he was getting. But you are seeing Darnell Washington, not only can he block, he can catch too. And we've caught teams off guard with that. But then, Pat, Jonnu, all these guys are getting better at blocking and whatnot too. So it is very interesting. And I agree. You got to feature these guys and continue what's working with them, especially on National Tight End Day.
Yeah, Max Starks calls it like, build a bear when you go to the mall, right? You build a bear. Like you have Connor Hayward, who's H-back size, Darnell Washington, who's offensive lineman size, and every other choice in between.
Yep. And as for the opponent, I like their safeties. I like their linebackers, Cooper and McKinney especially. I think they're really, really good players. But their numbers in the intermediate passing game are pretty questionable. It's hard to find weaknesses in this Packer defense, but their intermediate stuff isn't great.
All right, we wanted to remind you that this is time for you to join in with the rest of Steelers Nation. We call it our Immaculate Prediction, and an opportunity for you to compete against Steelers Nation to win great prizes. So here is this week's prediction for you. Over under Aaron Rodgers passing yards at 199.5. Interesting.
I think I'm going over against the old team. Yeah, I'm sure the Steelers will try to run the ball, but that's not going to be easy sledding. Might get Austin back, who knows? You mentioned the tight end usage. I like over 200.
All right. Missy, you want to weigh in?
I'm over as well, yeah.
All right, we're giving away an autographed Cameron Hayward throwback jersey, a $50 Steelers Pro Shop gift card, and a classic terrible towel. So lots of great items up as you play along with our Immaculate Prediction. Up next, the Steelers defense will try to contain one of the game's better offenses. We'll tell you what to look for when the Packers have the ball when the matchup, presented by Shell Polymers, continues. Get all your Steelers gear direct from the team. Shop the Steelers Pro Shop in-store or online for all things black and gold. You can get jerseys, hats, authentic memorabilia, custom gear, and exclusives you can't find anywhere else. And of course, get the ultimate Steelers game day accessory, the terrible towel. Steelers Nation shops here. Get your gear in-store or online at shop.steelers.com. Defense was rolling along heading into their Thursday night matchup against Cincinnati, but the warm memories of that three-game stretch of dominance pretty much eclipsed by what happened in Cincinnati with the Bengals scoring 33 points, running at will, throwing at will against the Steelers defense. So that Steelers defense will now try to get it back. Matt, as we just kind of do an overview, this is a very good Packers offense under Jordan Love, and it has been for the last couple years, 26, 27 points a game. I think now this is a trend. This is what we can expect out of this Packers offense week in and week out.
Oh, I think so. It's a consistent offensive line that doesn't have a star there, but it's always the sum is always better than the parts with their offensive line. Josh Jacobs is a force running the football and is a true bell cow. They got a good young group of receivers, and Jordan Love's really starting to hit a stride too. He's a big game hunter. He likes to go downfield.
He does, and he doesn't turn the ball over very often.
No.
Kind of reminiscent of the guy he followed in Green Bay, right? The low turnovers and willing to take a shot down the field.
What's crazy about the Packers overall is they've only created 3 turnovers, and they've only turned the ball over 3 times.
Right.
There's like no turnovers in Packer games.
Yeah, hopefully that will change on Sunday, which
side of the
we'll
ball.
get to. That's
Right,
one of our
right.
keys coming up in just a little bit. And, of course, we're talking about the positive end of that as well. So I'm going to start with the key, and mine is to stop Josh Jacobs. And there's a couple reasons for this. Look, Jacobs is a very good player. He made his 3rd Pro Bowl last year. The Packers run the ball a ton. So they will continue to stick with the run. The amount of attempts per game is up among the league leaders. There's 6 in that department. I'm sure they saw what Chase Brown did against the Steelers defense. They're going to be licking their chops. And Jacobs, another thing about him, he had an 11-game stretch, including the playoffs, of having at least 1 rushing touchdown, which is incredible. Okay, he doesn't have that 4 weeks ago. What has he done the last 3 weeks? 2 touchdowns on the ground in each game. This is a guy I think it all starts with him, and we saw it last week in Cincinnati. If they can run the ball, the opposing team, it makes it very difficult, and Green Bay will, I have to believe, try to jam the ball down the Steelers' throats with Jacobs.
Yeah, the one thing I noticed on Tuesday when Coach Tomlin started his preamble of previewing the Packers, it started with Josh Jacobs for the obvious reason. And I think because what did happen to them in Cincinnati, it's something that they're seeing on tape. You're at the point where you have enough of a sample size to know what teams' tendencies are, how you can gash them, the different things you can do. But also, if you can stop him and make Jordan Love one-dimensional, that also helps. Jordan Love has started 4 games on Sunday Night Football. He has thrown 11 touchdowns, ran 1 in, and has 0 interceptions. As you said, very reminiscent of Aaron Rodgers, his former mentor. So I do think you need to by stopping the run, you can make Jordan Love more uncomfortable and maybe make him question things that we have not really seen him question so far.
I'm a big Jacobs fan. He's the engine of this offense. It's basically a one-headed backfield. He gets almost all the touches. And the thing that made me a little crazy when he was with the Raiders was they didn't throw him the football very much with that team. In Green Bay, just like he did at Alabama, he catches a lot of balls too.
Right. So, as they always say in commercials, that's the key. But wait, there's more.
Yeah.
There's more matchups. Missy, I think Matt just kind of alluded to this, and you kind of talked about this earlier. Your key is get back to making some splash plays on defense.
Yeah. Think about that Patriots game, the Cleveland game, just what this defense is capable when it's running on all cylinders. There's no more excuses that guys are hurt, people aren't in the lineup, everybody is healthy and out there. And I think, the sacks, the turnovers, the forced fumbles, the things that we're used to seeing from this defense, punching the ball out. But you do have to stick with the basics of, hey, you got to tackle first. You can't let guys get to the second level. Defend your gap, the very basics. But I think this defense, very turned off by their performance on Thursday in Cincinnati. They kind of alluded to the fact they got chewed out a little bit. You've had extra time to, have to hear about it. So, to be able to turn the page and go back to what you're capable of, primetime always seems to be the right time for this defense to shine. So hopefully that's what can happen on Sunday against, as you said, a very good offense.
And I think this can't be underscored enough, Matt, because you talk about the Steelers' 2 losses, right? The turnover battle was on paper even against Seattle, 2-2. But that doesn't include the ball laying in the end zone in the kickoff, which was the turning point of the game, which is really, in essence, a 3rd turnover, even though it's not counted as that. Right. And you lost the turnover battle 2-0 last week in a game that came down to the final possession of the game. So these are important plays the Steelers need to make. And it felt like against Cleveland in particular, they could have had 5 interceptions in that game. So maybe they're due for a little reversal here on Sunday night.
And frankly, Thursday night aside, I think they're very good at creating splash. I mean, it starts with the pass rush. They're the best team in the league at getting tip balls at the line of scrimmage. They're very active on the back end. They have good blitzers. They blitz a lot. They bring 6 guys. And to be honest, I'm a little shocked that they didn't win the splash play battle on Thursday. And maybe even one more, that game goes differently.
Well, as Missy pointed out earlier, it is National Tight End Day coming up on Sunday. And
but only for the Steelers.
But only for the Steelers. But we do have to at least look at Green Bay's guy because, when yards per reception, Pat Freiermuth is first among tight ends after his big game. Tucker Kraft is second. This is, again, we talked about the trends with the offense. This is now 2 years in a row where he's averaged over 14 yards per reception. he's more than just a check down, dump it off tight end.
Oh,
Tucker Kraft.
He's much more. He's not a household name. I'm sure there's some people going, who's Kraft? I mean, went to a small school in the Dakotas. He's my favorite young tight end in the league. He is nasty. He's really physical. He's big. He plays big. He loves to block. He hates to get tackled. I mean, one stat to throw at you too, you mentioned it. I mean, his after the catch stuff is incredible. I mean, after the catch per reception, DK Metcalf is the best in the league of any pass catcher. Well, this guy's right behind him, you know, and he's
Number two.
Number two.
It's amazing.
I mean, he is a force, and we've seen tight ends do some damage against Steelers.
Yeah, 6 touchdown receptions. So among your other worries is keeping this guy out of the end zone.
Right, and which is something in Cincinnati as you were trying to stop the run and it wasn't working. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins were going off. The middle of the field became, you know, an open canvas for Joe Flacco, who did take advantage of that. So something they have to be cognizant as well. And I think just the time of possession. Imagine if there was just 45 less seconds on that clock after Pat Freiermuth scored. You would hope that it could end in a different way. That's something the Steelers have struggled with as well.
And Kraft is also coming off a game where he had the most usage of his career. Like, they're going to keep feeding him.
Yeah, right. And they play a lot of 12 personnel as well, because Musgrave's pretty good, and then Fitzpatrick's a guy that can come in and block for you. So they use a lot of 2 tight ends.
They do. And this guy does it all, though.
Yeah. He's going to be one of the guys to stop. So a lot of key matchups, as you would expect, because we have 2 division leaders going at it. Game coming up at Acrisure Stadium between the first-place Packers in the NFC North and the first-place Steelers in the AFC North. Kickoff scheduled for 8:20 on Sunday night. For Missi Matthews, for Matt Williamson, for our Steelers production crew, I'm Rob King. Thanks for watching this edition of The Matchup, presented by Shell Polymers.